Hi everyone, welcome to another demo of Mixed Universe. We're going to show off today some of the new stuff that's going to be in the next update, and then also just talk about the future and kind of where things are going. First thing you can see are these new radar nodes, and I'll just go ahead and I'll demo a mix using all the new stuff, and then we'll talk about all the different features. So this is all the new stuff. So yeah, the first thing that is pretty obvious is the radar nodes. They will activate everything that is going around in this circle, and it's pretty editable. Like, I can just move nodes around and they'll change the timing. The other thing that radar nodes kind of introduced is the ability to click the edges of modulators and stuff. So this is another really nice quality of life feature. So in this edit mode for radar nodes, you can click and drag the sizes in order to change the radius. And that's the same now for the modulators. So these have the same functionality. You can change the size of modulation rings, and then also these planets. Now it can also have the same type of size adjustments for the planet size, and then also their radius. And everything else kind of is focused around making it a little easier to select notes. There is a bit of a selector now for the actual notes. You can middle mouse to change it, or you can click and drag. You can go ahead and like click on any of the selections in here, and then hold down the selection in order to scrub that slider, which is super nice for quick editing. You'll notice that we also have a duration slider now, so this is just default. Instead of having to add an effects element to change the duration of a note, this is now just kind of built in. So, which the other really cool thing is duration is now visualized. So you can see that under each node, there is this spire that is going down. And you'll see that some of them are shorter, some of them are longer. And this is actually correspondent to how long the note is. So if I right click to preview, you'll see that this is a pretty long note. And then if I change the duration, you'll notice that the spire becomes shorter. Part of the note update now is you can actually select which key a note can be in. And this was kind of an earlier feature that I had that finally now is turned into an actual thing. And the goal with this is not necessarily for this to be the end, but more the beginning of how things are going to roll. Because this is still a bit tedious, as you have to go in, you have to have a little bit of music knowledge still to kind of be like, okay, I want to be like B minor, and then now when I place these notes together, I need to make sure that in order to make a chord, I need to dodge C sharp and go to D instead. So, because if you do C sharp, you'll get a little bit of dissonance when they play together. So it's, you know, not bad sounding, but most of the time you kind of want the typical like chord setup, and then that's kind of like dodging. So if you want to make quick chords, you can at least now do it by selecting basically a mood, and then from here being like, okay, I want 1, 3, and 5 for my chord, and then this will give you a nice triad, and then from here you can adjust like the higher notes. But yeah, from here, making chords is a lot easier, but it's still not complete. One of the last things to mention is I am experimenting with Metasounds finally now. We're actually going to start integrating procedural sounds into Mix Universe, which means that you have control over adding a saw wave, a square wave, or a sine to any node at the moment. These kind of, they're placeholder icons, so bear with the fact that they kind of look very similar, but this is a saw. If I add a saw to the piano, you can hear I end up getting like an interesting saw wave to work with. And then the saw itself has a width value to it, which you can adjust. This is all going to be tweaked, but that can help kind of like liven up a sound, or if you go longer with it, it's kind of fun. Go to like a really long note. Yeah, so you can hear the width of the different sounds. They're really cool. And then the actual pitch for each of these can be adjusted as well. So you can throw in width, volume, and pitch for each 3. And then so you can do something like that where you mix like a lower pitch with the main piano sound, which is kind of fun. From here, there's also square you can do as well. Square waves, bang, same thing. And then sine, which is, sine waves are a little bit harder to hear because most of the time you're going to try to use this for like sub, but you can kind of hear it with this. If we change the pitch there, it kind of proves that it's there. But you can see that a sine will actually like really increase just kind of how much sub that you can get out of a note, which is really, really nice for filling out more of the tinny sounds. Yeah, so this is some stuff that I'm really excited to keep tampering with and expand upon here. This is just the start, and I would say if you're going to use these in your mixes right now, be very cautious, or at least wary of the fact that these are likely to change. All of these are very experimental, so a lot of this other stuff is kind of hardened at this point, but for all of these could very much either not exist in a new update or whatever. So just work with at your own risk. Don't be afraid of them. I want you to try them out and let me know how they work, but just know that they might explode or change. So the last new addition for the effects elements is the close reverb. This is a much tighter reverb than was there before, so it's best illustrated on things like shorter notes. So you can hear it's much tighter reverb versus this. So you can actually kind of give your drums a little bit more sound or a little bit more life to them. The starters look a bit different now, so they actually have this like electrical effect to them. And you'll see now it has like this neat electrical effect, and then also a ring around it to show you when it's going to activate. And that's one thing about the radar starters. These will not activate anything the same way. So if you kind of click and drag them to attach to other things, they're not going to activate similar to starters. They're just going to act as like a pass-through node in that case. If you do, however, connect the other way, you can toggle them on and off, which might cause some really interesting scenarios. So radar starters can fully be toggled on and off. The other thing that they can do is, well, I've gone over the size before. The cool thing is if you go wider with them to give it more space, say we go to like max here, you'll notice that it's pretty fast. So you can actually change the timing of this with this dial. So we have double and then triple and quadruple, and that will take 4 times as long now, which allows you to basically do a 4-chord sequence, which is what the demo uses for this. So it's enough time to go around in a circle and play 4 different chords, which is really cool. And then you can kind of combine things, which what I did here is I made it so that the first time it comes around, it plays this with a filter on it, and then it'll switch with a higher pitch. And that's just straight up toggling this modulation ring every time it plays. So this toggles this on and off. Yeah, so that's everything in this update that's new, and all the new type of stuff to play around with. And this mix itself you can find underneath the included tab. It'll be right next to main menu, so bam, it'll be right there. It's not there yet, but that is where you can kind of load this up, play it yourself, and maybe modify it or have fun with it, whatever you want to do. And yeah, please, anybody who is interested in playtesting, you can go ahead and go to the Steam page, request access. I think at this point, I'm going to open it up to everybody. So thank you everybody who's joined the Discord, who's participated in the feedback and all that stuff. This is turning out to be quite the journey, and I'm excited to work on all the newer stuff. But yeah, everything else in the future is going to be pretty much just nailing down the actual game kind of part of things, getting it to be more fun for people who aren't super musically inclined, but also probably introducing more ways to activate nodes as well. So stay tuned and have a good rest of your day.